Hey everybody, welcome to my TV show. It's Matt Roth. I'm back. I'm not going to talk about Game of Thrones though, because apparently I spoil it every single time I'm on. I'm back. It's Sean, Gino. This is Cage Side Live. This is the day after. It's not after the bell. It's the day after WWE Payback. I haven't done this in a while, obviously, which is why it's been a shit fucking opener. But whatever. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm back.
10 times better than our usual opener because it's not just us talking about something else off camera.
Can't believe Jon Snow's alive, guys.
Oh, what?
Oh my God, he's back. Jon
Yeah.
Snow.
The snow community?
The Game of Thrones community.
You're dead. You thought it was bad when you made fun of Chicago pizza, or
Did you
I
see
thought
on
it was
Twitter?
bad. I thought it was
Someone on
bad when I
Twitter-
said that British people shouldn't sing at wrestling shows, and now you're really in for it.
Someone on Twitter's like, you should rank the crowds like 0 to 10 in your recaps. I'm like, you trying to get me shot? I said Chicago's not. They don't. What they have is not pizza. That's pasta. Fucking was threatened with murder. You want me to actually
Casserole.
rank the entire
No,
crowd?
it's a casserole. It's not
Yeah.
pizza.
Yeah, it's a casserole. So that's.
How do we
I'm glad
feel
we're-
about chili? Has anybody been to Dean Ambrose's hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio?
I have.
I don't think you could put spaghetti on chili. I think that's bullshit.
I mean chili on spaghetti, but it's also not
Yeah,
chili.
whatever.
People do that?
Yeah, that Cincinnati chili is spaghetti with like sloppy Joe sauce on top of it. It's horse
And,
shit.
and then they put like a dickload of cheddar, of shredded cheddar.
Yeah, it's like, and you have to order it like in how many layers you want, and it's
Yeah,
all
it's like a three-way or a four-way, and a
Yeah,
four-way
that's what it is.
you add
like
raw
onions or something, or
onions on it. Like, I'm sorry, Cincinnati. A, nobody should live in Cincinnati. B, nobody should visit Cincinnati. and C, fuck,
You
like,
turn your phone off. It's like me being on. It's got a text.
and like, but also, like, your food is fucking bad. It's horrible.
well, they're in Kentucky, so it's not really their fault. That's the dirty little secret about Cincinnati. People think it's in Ohio. They're actually in Kentucky.
That's true. They are in Kentucky.
Let's see if we can go. I don't know if anybody, Gino, I don't know if you looked at our YouTube comments for last week. I don't necessarily recommend it, but we got a couple. They're like the lead-off ones there. We're like, God, how long are you going to go without talking about wrestling? So I think we should try to go
We're
like
never at
40.
any point
This
going to talk
entire,
about
this entire show is actually about Game of Thrones last night and how Jon Snow is back.
Yeah,
And-
Khaleesi's dead. That's crazy.
That is nuts. That one I didn't see coming.
Those are the only two characters I know the names of, is what it is.
No. I bet you could
watched
guess.
the first season.
I bet you could guess some other ones though.
I watched the first season, and they fucking the lead dude in the first season. They just cut his head off at the end of it. So I was like, wow, I'm devastated. I'm gone.
That was awesome.
I was so upset. Like it was good for the story, but I was so upset. I just stopped watching.
Wow. Are you never gonna watch wrestling again because AJ Styles lost?
No, I don't feel like that at all. My guy won. Roman Reigns is my guy.
Mm.
Yeah, but how does the gay community feel about AJ Styles losing?
uh,
I don't know. I think they probably would like to do something with his hair because I know I would like to do something with his hair.
It's just horrible.
It's
why
not.
does he never wet it?
Yeah, that's weird. I never thought about that. That is different. He's like the only dude that doesn't wet it.
Reigns is always fully wet, and he
Mhm.
comes out, it's just dry. He looks like he hasn't had a bath.
That's how the rednecks do it, apparently.
Is that what it is? Is that offensive to
guess
say
so.
rednecks?
It's in his song. He calls himself a redneck, so I think it's. I mean, that is not
The song that was
necessarily.
written for the Briscoes, but they just gave it to Styles?
Yeah, I mean, in certain cases you can't say, well, it's in his song, so I can say it. But I think, as a white guy, I can say redneck. I think that's okay.
I can't remember the lyric.
Nobody's breaking that redneck.
Nobody's breaking this redneck.
Yeah, which is why I think he turns his hat around because it protects his redneck.
Shit's on.
Mm-hmm.
Here's,
Down.
hey, here's the thing, though. It's a dope entrance. It's a dope theme song.
Oh,
It
it's
is
great.
as long as you don't listen to it. Yeah, which is like true. Which is true of most of their songs. I mean the
I like
lyrics,
that
not. I don't know what I'm talking
Some
about.
of the lyrics aren't the worst, but some of them are like so ridiculously bad. Like, I'm a Mack truck, don't get run over.
Mark.
What?
What are the good lyrics in that song? The Farmer's Strength? That's what I want to know. Where?
Yeah, the farmer's strength. That's the fucking most hilarious lyric in any
Well,
song
I know it's
ever.
hilarious, but there's a difference between hilarious and good.
I don't know, Sean.
All right. Can we just listen to some of The Rock's ringtones?
What's the Rock, by the way? This whole fucking like thing he's doing where he's like, I got something special planned for the fans. It's my birthday, but you get a gift. And the gift is the Rock clock. Apparently it's just an app that wakes you up like the Rock. And he just says, it's time to get after it. No excuses. That doesn't work for people who aren't, I'm not even going to finish it. Allegedly. You don't look like that naturally.
Yes, you do. It's just,
If you get up at 4 in the morning and eat 17 pounds of salmon every day, you might. Do you know? Have you ever done that?
He's like 50. How does he maintain this without completely
a
breaking?
fucking ocean of fish every day.
An ocean of marine life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, we do
Mostly
actually
fish,
talk
but
about-
sometimes some clams get in there. He doesn't know.
We do actually have to talk
he's
about
cooking like 4 pounds of like tilapia or salmon a day or some shit. Like, just like
It is. It's ridiculous.
like an absurd amount of food.
Didn't a dude try to maintain that and got like really sick?
Yeah, because like a normal human being can't.
Because he wasn't on steroids.
You said it, not me.
You say that word. No, you have to say allegedly. Allegedly, he's allegedly on steroids.
Nobody listens to this anyway.
That's not true.
covered for you. I just
Rock is my boy. He's not
What's
on steroids.
What is it? It's libel if it's in print, slander if it's said.
Yes, that's all. I learned that from Spider-Man.
You're fucked, buddy. I'd like to. That's Sean Reuter at s1rude@yahoo.com.
This is how I get my show back.
And it's his boy too. It's all
I'm
about.
plugging his app. It's not just look. I'm in the midst of writing a post about it, but it takes me a long time because I get excited about writing.
Are you really?
Rock is on steroids?
It's
You're
fucking
actually
awesome.
writing a post about the rock clock?
Yes, because it's awesome.
You're
And
fired.
And there's absolutely nothing else going on today. I almost did a post on no, Seth Rollins wasn't in Chicago last night. So that's how slow it's been.
I took care of the Finn watch.
There you go. You covered that. Because the internet is fucking dumb, and everybody worked themselves into a shoot because somebody tweeted some pictures of Rollins last year in San Diego in an SUV. So everybody got all worked up and thought he was in fucking Chicago when he's in New Orleans filming that Wesley Snipes joint.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a good movie.
Well, it better be. Because it's the first of a 5-picture deal with Wesley Snipes for WWE Studios because they're both doing really well.
I think Handstock in the Cage Head offices was like, here's the thing, it's a big deal. It's Wesley Snipes. No, it's like with Wesley Snipes' company. I said, tell you what, if there's literally no other news at all, we'll
I put it in the rumors.
yeah, if there's literally nothing else going on, then we'll run it. But yeah.
Look, Bill is tied into the Hollywood community. He knows what's going on.
He doesn't know. He's never known. I'm
Is
tired.
Rock trying to download the Rock Clock right now? Is that what that noise was?
Yeah.
So listen, there are 25 customized alarm tones. It is not just the Rock saying, get up and get it. That's only one of them. There's another one where somebody plays a harp and then he smashes it and calls the harp player a jabroni. That's money right there.
I would have clicked out of this show if I was listening.
You also can't snooze it because then you're a pussy if you snooze. So
Is that what he says?
no, I mean that's what I say, but
Oh, wow. When do you get up, Sean?
8:30.
Not 4 a.m.
No, but I'm going to start. I'm going to get my rock clock set up. Listen, I'm going to get my rock clock set up. It's going to go off at, I'm thinking 7, because that'll give me enough time to get my DDP yoga in, and then I can get on to work as a wrestling blogger.
You're shilling for everything. aren't you?
Dork.
You're shilling for everything. How about you like talk about Squared Circle Pizza Burger place in
I
Chicago?
know, and we don't even get any money. I should have I mentioned Dollar Shave Club because that is a phenomenal deal that
What's
everybody
on
should
your
check
cup?
out. This, I don't even know. Oh, this is some sort of Baltimore thing.
Wally's love of curvy women.
Mm-hmm. And with beehive hairdos, draws him to Baltimore like a magnet. And then there's this. This city sucks.
Literally the worst show we've ever done.
Well, what do you want to talk about?
Wrestling, dude.
All right, go.
It was a good show. Good talk.
All right.
Great talk, guys. Good show.
And scene.
What was your favorite part of it?
You know, actually, it's funny because I think there were really only two bad things on this show. Enzo, of course. You know, does he have a history of concussions? Because I saw people were tweeting he tweeted something about he tweeted a picture of a quote that someone did, I guess, of saying they've had multiple concussions in their career, and he said he's been there. So are we looking at another?
I don't know.
I mean, what's his history, Sean?
Well, he missed significant time in NXT, but I think that was for like a broken leg. It wasn't a concussion. The only other thing I can think of is he was involved in that one spot where somebody got knocked out, but it wasn't him. He was like the one doing the suplex. And remember, like a couple months back, there was like some multi-man spot. We did posts on it. I can't remember who it was that got hurt though, but it wasn't him. I haven't heard about him having a concussion history, but I mean, I don't know how anybody does that job and doesn't have a concussion history. So we could be looking at another Ziggler where it takes him 6 months to get cleared. I don't know.
That was terrifying, though. Like that was one of the uglier spots that they've shown, like on slow instant replay.
I can't believe they kept going to that slow-mo replay once they realized what had happened, or they had to know. I mean, anyone who's watched MMA or boxing or a street fight, I mean, he's clearly knocked out.
Yeah, no, like he was unconscious. Like there was no, oh hey, maybe things are okay with him, or like he'll be like coming too soon. Like the second that, like I saw it wasn't your write-up, it was Tape Machine's write-up, that like he hit his ribs on the top rope and then like hit his head on the mat. I thought that the way I saw the replay is that he hit his face on the top rope and then hit his head again on the bottom rope, then knocked himself out on the mat, and then like hit himself on the head again when he fell out of the ring.
He definitely hit his head on the second rope at some point, because that's the freeze frame from the replay that everybody.
Right, and
then he hit the apron, and then he hit the floor.
Right, but if you've ever watched like combat sport, like boxing, MMA, like he was out. Like his eyes were glassy the second that his head hit that rope. Like the second that his face hit the top, the middle rope, like he was unconscious.
No, the GIF is, there's a GIF in one of the posts I've done. He goes, they do the spot, and I don't even know what they were trying to do. Like Gotch just kind of throws him, and he does this awkward like slide kind of jump thing. I don't even know what it was, but his head hits the rope, and it bounces him back, and his head smacks the back of the mat. And then he goes out under, and then people said he hit his head again. I don't know if that happened when he was out of the ring, but as soon as he comes out, his arms are stretched out, like sometimes happens when people get knocked out. Their arms just kind of do that stiffen thing, and then you can see his eyes are just rolled up. He's just gone, and then he falls. And then for some reason, they stayed on him, and someone sent it to me today, or they sent it to the Cage Side Twitter, the video, and you can see him doing that weird breathing thing that people do when they're knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like those deep but shallow breaths, and like how scary it is. I couldn't believe they stayed with it.
I don't think they realized. I mean, I guess I don't know what the spot was. It looked like they were trying for some sort of like slingshot off the lower ropes. I don't know why they were. I don't know. So I don't know who fucked up exactly. It didn't look like it was worth whatever they were trying to do. I don't think they thought it. I think they didn't see what we saw in the replays. So initially, because Gotch is over there like talking shit to him, it's not until Cass comes over and like gets the ref that it seems like they changed their. Because I don't know if you've seen the Kofi was Facebook videoing, and they were just being goof offs at ringside, and then all of a sudden he stops. Yeah.
Yeah.
And after he falls, they're all saying like, "Oh, he took that bump. Oh, I don't know what that was. That didn't look good."
Yeah.
I mean, they're joking about it, and then they stop, and he like cuts off the camera.
Yeah, so. Xavier Woods does the Joey Styles. Oh my God!
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that was like that was.
So I think they didn't know how bad it was at first, and then I think maybe they were trying to sort of be like they were covering MMA or boxing and showing the knockout. I don't know. I mean, because they did keep doing it for a while. So
that is what they would do in MMA. They'd fucking replay it to death because that's the money shot. But I don't know. It just felt at a certain point when once they knew that there was a legitimate injury, they kept going back to the replay later on. And that was like, do we really need to be showing this? Like,
Well, and they were showing him like the screenshot I got for your first post where he's stiff on the ground. They showed that. That was like 5 minutes after he was unconscious. I mean,
how does no one recognize that too? Like, you're right there. Like, how do you not? I don't know. It's pretty easy to tell. I feel like we all knew immediately.
Yeah.
Like initially when it happened in real time, maybe not. But if you're up close and personal, you can tell when someone's knocked out. It just sucked. It was fucking scary. I heard Big Cass cried. I don't know if that's true.
I can see that. Like, I mean, like those guys are best friends at this point.
They're yeah, I mean, they apparently, I mean, they go back to before getting signed. They had met each other and then they became friends once they got signed. But
they're great together.
Yeah, they're great. And they travel with Owens, which that's like the backstory on. I guess he went to the hospital as soon as he could to see how they were doing because they're road buddies. The three of them travel together. So
this did lead to the greatest photo of a certified G in a fucking hospital gown.
Mm-hmm. Bonafide stud.
Yeah, being a bona fide stud. That's like my favorite act in all of fucking WWE now, and
I mean, that's the other thing. Yeah, I mean, if he's out for a significant amount of time, that's a big fucking blow because they were about as okay for only having been on TV for 3 weeks, and obviously they had big plans for him. I mean, that's the thing. We don't know. We were all assuming we were going to get like a Dudley Boys run-in to extend that feud while the Vaudevillains went on to face New Day, and all that shit's on hold now.
Well, they're tweeting like that's the case. Like Bubba tweeted, we look forward to seeing you soon. Glad it's just a boo-boo on your head.
Right.
So maybe you were right all along, and that was the plan. And that's probably the right plan. Like we said, I mean, it's probably the right call to have the Vaudevillains win. And they'll be okay. I mean, they'll come back, and everyone will be really happy, and he'll do the gimmick. And I'm seeing people complain about that, by the way, already.
What's that? Oh, the gimmick already?
The same open. It's the my name is Enzo, and I'm a certified, all that. Like, they don't like that he doesn't vary it up. They do.
I'm so done with everyone. That's so. I know the other thing that we got shit on for YouTube on the YouTube comments last week was making fun of our listeners, and I'm not making fun of anybody, but I am just, maybe it's the job, I don't know. I am fucking worn out with everybody's outrage. I don't want to watch, I don't want to take part in or even see another like 400 comment Roman Reigns argument ever again in my fucking life. Just everybody, everybody is either mad about the product or they're mad that people were mad about the product. There's no interesting conversation going on. It's just yelling at each other, and I'm tired of it.
Feels like that sometimes.
Yeah. So, but that's what that. I mean, because they do the entrance spiel, which is a formula, and then they cut custom promos in the ring. Last night, I mean, Cass has done the "Hey Arnold, Stoop Kids" joke before in NXT, but that was new for the main roster. Enzo's always got a new line. I mean, they're not always original, but they're not the same ones that he says at every show. So after you can't teach that, how you doing? It's new.
And it's amazing because The Rock comes back and he does the same fucking finally.
Wrestling's built on repeating the same shit over and over again.
Exactly. Like you
That's
don't
what
give
the
The
yes
Rock
chant is. That's exactly what the yes chant is.
Yep.
And everybody loves the yes chant, and like the what is the same exact bullshit. Like the Stone Cold Steve Austin what routine, they're still doing that.
You know what else is the same bullshit? Fucking CM Punk chants in 2016. What a time to be alive.
Oh my god, no! But the best part about the what chant is like a majority of the wrestling crowd, like that are going to these shows, unless they're dads, probably weren't watching when Stone Cold was doing what.
Yeah.
It's crazy how long ago that was when you think about it. Like it just makes me feel old.
What? Like that has to be like 15 years, right?
It was 2001.
Yeah.
15 years.
Good.
Well, I mean, they're doing homages to the fucking Montreal Screwjob, which is what, 20 years old?
Jesus Christ.
How'd you feel about that?
This is the new era.
How'd you feel about that?
Whatever.
You're not wrong, dude. Like what's funny about it is like, so the Montreal Screwjob like literally ushered in. It did usher in a new era, although they were headed that way anyway, and it took the WWF to unheard of heights that they'd never seen before, even with Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason it worked is because there was legitimacy to it. The person they fucked over left the company that night. Like he was gone. He showed up in the with the competition. doing the WCW thing, tearing up the monitors, punching out Vince. They're doing all the heat of it was because it was real. And as real as anything like that can be.
Right.
As real as it could be. The biggest, it's the most infamous event in probably the history of wrestling other than maybe Benoit. And you can't recreate that in a setting where the results are not legitimate. You know what I mean? Like you can't get the same heat.
It doesn't have the impact. I mean, because we're not going to see. Natty's not going to show up on Impact on Tuesday night. Not that anybody would fucking care if she
No
did,
one would even know she was there. Willow would fucking. Who are you, Natalia? Why are you? You should probably go back. There's like 40 viewers. But you can't get the same thing for that. Like, and plus, they're not. Frankly, they're not important enough. Like, and I think that's sad to say, but like, I don't really. If they fucked Natty over, I kind of don't really care that much.
I don't even think it's not even so much that it's not important enough. It's just that it came out of fucking nowhere. If they'd have done this finish, I mean, they were teasing this basically with Eva Marie versus Bayley on NXT when they brought in Charles Robinson and everything there. And there it would have caused some outrage because they had built to that story. Here it's like, what the fuck? We haven't seen anybody talk to Charles Robinson. You have to have watched WCW from 20 years ago to know that he's even Little Nate. They don't even talk about that anymore. Even within the match, it came out of nowhere. This wasn't the first time that Natty was in a submission hold. Why didn't he do it 10 minutes earlier? It was totally just do it just to do it. There was no
context.
And I don't blame Brett for not wanting to come back if he knew that was what was going on too, because it's just stupid.
Brett and Shawn was a heated rivalry for a number of years leading up to that match. Like there was so much going into that, even without the added intrigue of the people who were in the know knew that he was leaving, but even the people who weren't in the know knew that it was like a big rivalry, and it was for the main title. It was for the fucking WWF Championship. This is all a big deal.
And Vince was out there, so it made sense that somebody would call for that, not just that somebody who used to look like Ric Flair would just do it cause.
Yeah, like this was not. This, they tried to give it like added weight because these two did this in NXT, and like they've, it's the family feud and all this stuff. Well, and maybe that would work if it was like Shawn Michaels' daughter, but it's Ric Flair and his daughter. It's not. There's not that history that's there. So, like, it's one of those things that literally, without the right context, it's not going to work in a work setting. I don't think it would ever really work. They've tried that many times, and it never worked. Like, it worked the first time for all the reasons we said, and every other time they've tried it, it didn't work. And, of course, we fall into it. We do the headlines, the Chicago screw job and all that nonsense, and whatever. But I looked at the traffic, and I don't think that match got any – no one cared.
Yeah.
So
I think – well, and this is my problem, which overall I liked Payback too. I didn't love it. I thought it was a good show. There was a lot of good wrestling. But nothing felt – I mean, this felt like Extreme Rules – the prequel to Extreme Rules. I think we're going to get almost all of these matches again at Extreme Rules with different stipulations.
Well, that's kind of always the case, isn't it?
I know, but I mean, it really felt glaringly obvious with this one. I guess Ambrose Jericho maybe wrapped up, but other than that, and it seemed like some of the booking decisions to extend the feuds were kind of lazy, like this one, where it was just out of nowhere.
But here's the thing, though. Like, if you said that you enjoyed it, but it wasn't great, I think that this was an above-average pay-per-view, at least what we've gotten this year. And the only two things that really stunk up the card for me were Jericho, Ambrose, and the women's match. Everything else I thought was incredible. I mean the Reigns AJ Styles match was awesome, and it's clear that they told Owens and Zayn to take extra time because the Enzo Amore injury. So you got two matches that were if we're being honest about them, probably 4-star matches. We got two of those on one card, and then you also got the Ryback Kalisto match, which was, in my opinion, the best match that they've had together. And they've had some really good matches, and Ryback's becoming an incredible sports entertainer. I think this was I would say this is not just an above average card. I would say that this is like one of their more fun pay-per-views, and it sucks that the reason why we got the Zayn Owens match that we got was because Enzo got injured, but I'm not going to complain about it.
This show was significantly better than WrestleMania.
I will not. Yeah, I will agree with you there. Yep.
I thought it was a fantastic show. I mean, there's stuff, you know. I thought Charlotte and Natty was actually good until they went into the finish, and I just don't. There's problems, whatever. But most of the other stuff was really great. I mean, I guess we'll talk about the other thing that was shit on this show.
I mean, my problem is I think outside of the main event, which felt different, it felt like a pay-per-view main event. So
Dude, it felt
all props to Reigns and Styles and everybody involved. That was a great match, and I think it was both guys. To anybody who wants to argue about how AJ carried Roman or whatever, go fuck yourself.
That's wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, don't go fuck yourself. Just know that you're wrong. But I feel like the quality of wrestling on Raw lately has gotten really good. So I don't feel. I mean, like, yes, Zayn Owens was really good. Kalisto Ryback was really good. But we get really good matches a lot. So I'm looking for payoffs to stories. I don't know. This is just where I'm coming from. I'm kind of tired of the never-ending story. I want something to be resolved, and I don't know that anything was resolved last night. And then you've got the nonsense of a half an hour of McMahon talk, and then it's just, that to me is like, that is a Raw. So it was to me, Payback was a really good Raw, which isn't necessarily what I want out of the Sunday night, whatever we call them now, pay-per-views, live special, whatever. I feel like I would like to see it kicked up a notch even farther. So I don't know. I mean, that's my take. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't bad. I liked it, but I didn't think it was fantastic.
What did you think of the McMahon family stuff?
It was a complete waste of time.
Total disaster.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how this company is public. They have a board of directors. Vince McMahon literally went out there and said, you know, I'd like to see you two slit each other's throats. But you could also maybe do some cool stuff if you're working together. So, figure it out. Bye. That's how he runs his company, apparently. And I don't understand, there's so little seeming attention to details. It's all in service of, it's ego battles. It's really all it is. It's just people battling it out for who can get their ego stroked the most. And then they tried to fuck up the main event by, we're going to make this to where we have to insert Shane and Stephanie into this. You always have to insert a McMahon. And can you imagine, can you imagine what NXT would look like if it was like that? Like, they always had to insert the authority figure somehow. Like, they do it, but it always makes sense.
Right. That's what's so refreshing about NXT is that Regal shows up when the story calls for it, not when you just think that you need to do that.
He's got an actual reason to be there,
Yep.
not just, a McMahon's on TV. And sadly, they do equal ratings.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, I mean, I don't know what to do because we commented on it yesterday. I mean, the buzz was not there for this show. I mean, the early returns on the new era of AJ Styles on top and all these NXT guys are not good for the company. I mean, the ratings are hitting historic lows with very little competition, at least not football competition. The buzz isn't there. So, I mean, do we blame them for going? I mean, I think you could tell a better story with the McMahons than this. This was just lazy. But, I mean, I get their argument for, well, we got to keep them on TV, we got to get Cena back, we got to do these things because the other people aren't moving the fucking needle, and that includes Reigns.
No, because at some point you have to stay the course. At some point you have to continue doing what you're doing and make guys and continue making guys and pushing guys, and eventually you'll get it right? Like, we talk about that and all the time. Like, we always
but is the best way to do that with a wholesale change like this, or is it? I mean, because I would rather they build one guy at a time rather than say, here's 7 guys.
Yeah, but here's the problem: is that it's one of those. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So they tried that with Rollins. They had Rollins be champ for almost a year. It felt like almost a year.
9 months, kind of, yeah.
It felt like almost a year, and it was for ratings, it was a disaster. And then we have then they go back to Cena because John Cena is the guy who he's old reliable. You know, like ratings will at least be there. They're not going to be great because the WWE ratings haven't been amazing since really the pipe bomb incident in like when CM Punk back in like 2012. But like ratings haven't been great, but their one reliable person is John Cena. And the problem is that every single time they change because like okay we have to worry about our investors and we have to worry about our board of directors. We can't keep staying this course with Roman Reigns. As Gino pointed out, like ratings aren't great with Roman Reigns. They're not. But like at some point you need to understand like and not Sean Reuter, but
Right.
the WWE needs to understand that like John Cena may have, let's say, like 2 more years left in him. Like realistically, he's probably like he's probably going to be around for like 2-3 more years, and then like he's going to start doing the Rock schedule, maybe like a little bit more often, but pretty much like, hey, John Cena's back for a special appearance, not as opposed to every single weekend every single week he comes out on Raw and he goes, I love when you guys boo me, and he talks to the camera breaking the fourth wall. You really at this point they need to start planning for the future, and their future really is Roman Reigns, it's Kevin Owens, it's Dean Ambrose, and it's Seth Rollins, and to a lesser extent, the New Day, Enzo and Cass, and maybe Sami Zayn. Like that's who they need to now bank on, and they need to let those guys either fail and hey, we tried and we actually tried, we gave you our best effort, or they succeed and now you have, again, I hate bringing up the Attitude Era, but now you have a Rock, Stone Cold, Mankind, Triple H, Undertaker, and like all these people that actually drew, and like you're at a point where you can't just say, look, we need John Cena as champion because everything's fucked. You need to say, hey, you know what, John, we realize you're not going to be here this much longer. We need to find somebody else to pass the torch to, and like they thought they had that at some point when they were trying to build John up. They were trying to also do it with Randy Orton, and the problem is nobody gives a shit about Randy Orton. So like they got stuck with John Cena only.
Well, we talk about, I mean, even if we want to use the Attitude Era, and we've talked about this many times, Stone Cold cut the, promo at King of the Ring, right? In early '96, the competition from WCW, they were getting buried, and ratings were garbage for 1996. They were bad for 1997. It wasn't until 1998, early 1998, we're talking like a 2-year sustained push. 2 years of, okay, that's going to be, he's a main cog in the wheel, and we need to get to where we're trying to go, and then, the things broke the right way, whatever, but that's 2 whole years. Reigns they just put the title on him. They started at 2015 Rumble, I guess, and then they kind of fucked it around a little bit, and then until finally pulling the trigger at TLC. So you could even say a year. We're still a year away from maybe that's when he reaches that status. Because to what I'm hearing is I'm hearing reaction. I mean, that felt like a big money main event match. AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns, like 2 dudes. First of all, a guy you wouldn't even have ever thought would come to WWE, and then a homegrown guy. And it's so far away from what we're used to. It's so far away from the days of John Cena versus Randy Orton because they have no other main event. And then the times they did have main events, it was fucking The Miz and John Morrison and fucking guys like that. You hear the reaction. All the boos mixed with the cheers, and people can work themselves up and try to explain to themselves that I actually don't like him, and it's go away heat and all these terms they don't understand. But that building was packed, and everyone was into that match. Everyone was really into what they were doing. The key is to continue to do that and to continue to make compelling television that leads to compelling matches like what we got there. I mean, eventually, are you going to have to find a hero who everyone can get behind eventually? Because I think that is, Triple H talked about it in an interview. He said we're at a time where they feel like you kind of can't win. I mean, the internet gives voice to everybody, and when you do that, it's the old fucking saying, you be yourself, because no matter what you do, 50% of the people will love you and 50% of the people will hate you, and it's got nothing to do with you. So they kind of feel that way as far as pushing guys. We're never going to find anyone who's universally loved. We're not going to find a Hulk Hogan who literally everyone will get behind and he will be our guy. But I think they need to continue to try to get there, because I think that's when the business sort of breaks through, right? That's when the cycle, everything goes back up. Business kind of recovers from a downswing when they find a guy who is the most universally loved. Hogan, Austin, Rock, guys like that. Everyone loved those guys. The detractors were few and far between.
Yeah, I think I do agree with Triple H that I don't think ever. I mean, I think probably if the internet had existed when Hogan was around, you'd find 10% of the people that hated Hogan too. But
yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I think you can still find that guy that 80 to 90% of the people will get behind. It doesn't have to be 50-50. That's their spin because Reigns is getting 50-50 at best.
That guy just retired a few months ago, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's an argument that Bryan would never be Rock, Austin, or Hogan because of his size, but he was almost universally loved.
Yeah.
But yeah, my problem with that Triple H interview is, fucking political hit theory again, because he's in that interview talking about like, well, some people just like to be the cool heel. Guess which one I am? I mean, you're part of the fucking problem, asshole.
Yeah,
why this guy's 50-50. So,
the other thing you kind of touched on is that, like, they do get up their own ass on a lot of things too. So, like, I'm not just putting, the blame on the fact that they need to appease their, the investors and everything. Like, they get up their own ass as well. Like, fucking CM Punk is white hot, and they decide to book him in a match with Kevin Nash. Like, they decide to book him in a match with Triple H. And it's like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like, don't take the title off this guy. Like, you're getting up your own ass because for some reason you think that, hey, we need to, cool him down just a little bit. And, like, they do a lot of things to screw themselves up. But, at the end of the day, what I said before, like, John Cena is going to be gone soon. Randy Orton's going to be gone soon. Alberto Del Rio, they thought that, like, he was going to come back and, like, they were going to have some heat on him, and there was nothing. Like, nobody gave a shit. And we're like, what? We're 3 months away from his re-debut, and, like, there's nothing. There's no reaction to Alberto Del Rio.
He wasn't even on the card last night, so they know that's not, yeah.
Like, and that was like, oh, man, Alberto Del Rio's back. This guy is, like, he was doing amazing work outside of WWE, and there's nothing. Nobody cares. And the problem is like, they had two people that were on the cusp, which is, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. CM Punk, they got in their own way. And with Daniel Bryan, like, unfortunately, he got injured. And, like, injuries happen when you're working 300 days nights a year. And
I mean, that's my problem is, yes, they want to tell us this thing that they're pushing somebody new and that we're going to get 50-50 booking, but they're stubborn as hell. I mean, like you said, they're not going with what the people, they're not going to, Kevin Owens isn't near the main event scene, even though he's clearly a guy that's over like hell with everybody in that sellout crowd last night. They're not, and I'm not saying that they necessarily should, but don't pretend that you're going with something new when you're still trying to push the same thing you've been pushing for a year. And I don't want to bash Reigns, but to think that, I don't know how they can look at him at this point and say that he is going to take them to a place that Austin took them to. I don't think there's not even close. He doesn't have those skills, and the insistence on him being that guy and the fact that he's getting some worked heat because whatever. Yes, the fact that we boo him to see him lose makes him a de facto heel, but he's not moving the needle. I don't think that reaction is something that's going to get somebody from outside of the pro wrestling world or a lapsed fan to come back to see this like meta argument about whether this guy should be the top guy. But they're sticking with it, and that's, I think, a problem. And I think taking a bunch of guys and putting them in around him and just saying it's a new era is kind of setting them all up to fail.
Right. I mean, and the other thing is, like, going back to getting up their own ass, like, they had somebody who was white hot, or the opportunity to be white hot in Bray Wyatt. And then, like, we don't even have to discuss it because we all know what happened with that. They, like, instead of having him be, like, a killer, he is basically as effective at winning matches as Tyler Breeze.
Barely.
You know, it's funny because, like, you think back, and, like, they used to be able to make guys. I don't understand why they can't. It's the 50-50 booking. It's the constant fear of, like, a loss really isn't that bad. Like, you know, I saw some people freaking out about, like, the booking with the Baron Corbin match. And, you know, I don't know, I guess, like, you know, they beat him, fine, whatever. Well, they're not going to make a star. And I get that. I don't know. It's kind of where it comes in for me, where it's like, well, you know, I will look for something a little deeper in my wrestling, and, you know, it fits totally in with the story they've always told with that dude, which is he's a cocky dick, and he thinks because he's bigger and stronger or whatever, he just throws people around, he thinks he's better. And it always is the thing that costs him the match. So it's kind of in key, and that was even the case in NXT. They did that with Austin Aries in his last NXT match. Now they do it here in this pay-per-view match on the main roster. That's continuity. I feel like that's a good thing in so many ways, but so many fans, the vocal fans, well, they beat him, so they're obviously burying the guy, you know? Like, when we have that, too. We have a huge lack of education.
Fans are really dumb because fans don't understand what a burial is.
I think they need to take. I think it would be smart on their part to take proactive measures to better educate their fan base to what they're watching. I don't think you know, kayfabe, pull the curtain back, but they've done that so much. They're so selective about how they do it. I think it would be a good idea to literally. You could do a program on the network. You recruit someone like you could use Boston or
Mauro Ranallo.
Someone like that. That'd be perfect. And they can teach you about what wrestling is and what it's all about and what do these terms actually mean. Like, if you're going to use a term like jobber or job or burial or heat or X-Pac heat, you need to know what this shit means, because you're affecting not only your enjoyment, but you're affecting the enjoyment of the people who you influence when you get on Twitter. And, you know, a lot of these people, whatever, but, you know, there's a wrestling Twitter that exists. It's just like an echo chamber of just all these people shouting, and, like, they build their influence like this, and they have all these ideas, and they kind of pollute the well at the lowest level, and it fucks it up for the people at the top who are just trying to have a good time, because, you know, they kind of get exposed to a little bit of it, and they kind of want to get in on it, and then they try to, and it's such an exclusive club that you feel dumb for even trying to get in. I mean, this is a business that calls their fans marks, you know. So I think there really needs to be just a total education of the fan base. And that way you can start at the bottom and you can take care of the so-called smarks, that's bullshit. You're not a smart mark. Like, do you realize how fucking contradictory those terms are? Like, that actually upsets me. Who fucking thought of that? Like, that's even more derogatory than being a mark, because if you're a mark, that implies that they're taking advantage of you and taking your money from you, and you don't know better. Smart mark is to say that you're in on the work, but the reality is, if you're in on the work and they're still taking your money from you, you're an even fucking dumber than the person who's not in on the work. Like, right? How stupid is that?
You're just enjoying it like you would enjoy any. I mean, that's the thing. The problem isn't, I don't think that people are uneducated. The problem is that wrestling is full of mixed messages, right? They want us to not be smart, but they want us to acknowledge that it's a fictional enterprise with people making performances. They want their cake and they want to eat it too. It's like the wins and losses thing. They tell us that wins and losses don't matter. Okay, then, well, why hasn't Roman Reigns lost in 4 fucking years if they don't matter? They do. I mean, they want to push guys. That's how they build people. They build people by having them not lose, and then they yell at us about how wins and losses don't matter. They do matter. If wins and losses don't matter, why doesn't Roman lose? Why doesn't Kevin Owens win all the time?
Why are they having matches?
Right, exactly. They do matter. It's a storytelling tool. I don't think having a show where you tell us what burial means is going to matter, because I bet even if you get behind the scenes, you're going to get 6 guys with 6 different definitions of burial if you talk to Austin, Jim Cornette, Vince McMahon, and fucking Gabe Sapolsky. I think in some layer, I do see what you're saying. I do think that that's a barrier to some new
I'm
fans.
surprised to hear you argue that education would be a bad thing.
I just don't think that it necessarily. I mean, what would you think that would grow the wrestling fan base if they had a show like about insider terms?
I think it would help with the people who are already here who are polluting people coming in. I think that's a very real thing. I think it's because there's people who do this stupid shit. We see it on our site. I see it on Twitter all the time. They work gimmicks, and they think it's fucking cute. And it's A, it's not, and B, I think it drives people away. And so I think there's a fan base that they need to get to that they can better help them understand the program, and that through that they can stop poisoning the fucking watering hole for the people who are coming in just trying to get in on the fun. I think that's a very real problem they have.
It's
the same thing of like people reading the articles and then they read the comments and they're like, I'm never fucking coming here again.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if I finished that thought. I mean, I do think that that's a problem. I don't know that. I mean, the other thing though is that that's part of the appeal for a certain type of fan, and you don't want to I think that's another problem that wrestling has, is that they talk down to their fans all the time, and there's no other. You don't see. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people like Game of Thrones writers don't like the fact that there are critics of their product, but they don't go out of their way to tweet about how their critics are fucking idiots and stupid marks. They ignore them and they focus on promoting it, which is something.
My friend Mark.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling goes out of its way every once in a while. People like Triple H and Vince to say, "Oh, if you don't like what we're doing, you're an idiot." Which
I'm in on it and you're not. Ha.
Yeah, and it's not. And like you said, there's not really in on it anymore. We're all in on it to an extent. We don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes, but I've never had a problem with Mark or Smart Mark, because I think they're sort of meaningless designations. But I think WWE might be better served to try to work to develop like a side community away from wrestling Twitter for people who just want to watch it as a TV show. Instead of, I don't know that trying to come in and say you guys are doing it, you're being fans wrong, is going to really help them in any way.
No, I would agree with that.
Well, but that's what it's going to come across as. Here, you idiots are using these terms wrong, so we're going to create a show to teach you how to use them right.
Go ahead, Ron.
I think that my issue is that I'm kind of in between both of you guys. I think that there's most definitely a crowd that kind of ruins it for everybody else. Like where you have the Chicago crowd, the Brooklyn crowd, the Philly crowd. Like watching it on TV on the network, it's enjoyable because they're really into it. But at a certain point, like if I'm going to these shows and like I'm a kid and I'm a fan of Roman Reigns, or I'm a fan of John Cena, and I have like some drunk asshole from Philly calling saying the worst things in the world about like my hero, like that's gonna disenfranchise me as a child to be a wrestling fan. I think that's part of it. I hate the fact that like the Full Sail crowd for NXT, they decide to go into business for themselves, and like they think that they're part of the show. They're not. Like I don't watch NXT episodes because like I have a thing for the Full Sail crowd, and like I want to be part of them. Like the only reason why I want to be part of them is I want to watch that shit live. I want to be there live. I don't want to have like the British fans going, "Oh, hey Bailey, I want to know, will you be my girl?" I don't give a fuck about that. Like, and to me, like every single time there's a chance, like the going into business for yourself. Post Mania, where everybody like a boring match just gets like chewed up, and like people are cheering for Michael Cole and JBL, like that ruins my experience. Like I hate that. I think that wrestling Twitter, if there is an issue with it, it's that there's a specific type of fan that thinks, hey, you know what? I'm paying for this, so and like I'm having a bad time, and I'm a drunk asshole. So I'm going to ruin everyone's time also.
Well, and even like for an example, I mean, I
Also,
tweeted this
fuck Philly
before.
crowd. Fuck Philly crowds. I hate Philly.
There are people who think WWE, they don't enjoy the show unless WWE books the product the way they would book the product.
Mm-hmm.
And how wild is it to think that that's how they view this? And again, it's not to say you're wrong or how you enjoy this or you're being a bad fan or this isn't how you should be a fan, whatever, whatever. But at the same time, that's a really strange way to enjoy anything.
But
It's
that's
like you're
not wrestling specific. I mean, that's like, I mean, look at go to any fucking team site for the NFL draft this past weekend. You'll see 7,000 people who know more than the general manager of their team. And the same thing happens on Game of Thrones and things like that. If they make a decision with these characters that certain fans don't agree with, people complain about it. The question is do you spend time arguing with those fans, or do you focus on telling the best story possible? Lucha Underground doesn't worry about what you call burial. They worry about telling the best story possible. And for the most part, they've got a lot of people who support their product because of it. I mean, even when Lucha Underground makes a decision you don't agree with, you'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they have a little bit of a track record now of having a plan and being able to deliver on that plan. WWE doesn't get that benefit of the doubt because we know that we're going to watch Roman Reigns win or John Cena win or whoever win. Their plan is very basic, and it tends to go back to the same well, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't think it really. I mean, I would rather they spend their time trying to improve their overall storytelling, like you were saying earlier, and to build to a compelling payoff to a story, as opposed to worrying about what Joey Mark on Twitter calls a burial.
Yeah, I think they can service both, but I mean, obviously, the more important is the appealing to the masses and not worrying so much about the smaller end of the spectrum. I just feel like when you got those people, telling new fans or telling people or people who want to be inclusive and they want to be involved, and they're like, well, what's burial? Well, what they're doing to Baron Corbin right now is a burial, and then they have this whole way of now looking at that, and it's incorrect. It's wrong in like literally every way, but they don't realize that. They don't understand that, and maybe they never will at that point, and that just kind of sucks because it feels like that's a lost fan almost. Like they're in and they'll watch, I guess, but I don't know.
I mean, I'd have to go back to like my marketing background and think about, I mean, how many people come into wrestling through, Voices of Wrestling's Twitter account as opposed to people who just flip by on Raw and get it or not. I mean, that's to me that's a
Why'd
risk.
Why'd you pick their Twitter?
Because honestly, because this weekend, one of the things that made me go like I'm done with this whole having a conversation is the fight between them and Bixenspan over Will Ospreay this weekend. I just saw that in my timeline and just moved on.
I just unfollowed.
Because it's totally just like, oh, you don't like the right kind of wrestling, you're watching wrestling wrong, and it doesn't. And that's not to pick on VOW because Bix was doing it worse than they were, in my opinion, but that's a whole different discussion. And I'm probably in trouble with half of wrestling Twitter now, and I don't really care. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that's a problem with everything in sort of the Twitterverse in 2016 is that there's a chance that somebody's going to find somebody who thinks they're an expert on anything that's going to give them bad information or turn them off on the product, and I don't know what the best way to deal with that is. And I think my guess is that an education thing coming from WWE would get just as much pushback as it did convince anybody, because a lot of people are going to say, oh, WWE, this is going to be like, oh, it's like the Hall of Fame, they're not really trying to educate anybody, they're just trying to sell us on their product and yada yada yada. And I don't know that it's going to do anything but add more noise to the conversation.
Fair point.
I don't know.
Fair point. I hear you about the bickering about the Ospreay matches.
Mm-hmm.
Will Ospreay?
Will Ospreay is not. He doesn't sell. Oh, but he's the evolution of wrestling. Oh, but whatever.
The leg.
What else?
Limb work.
What about the Intercontinental Championship picture?
Can we real quick put over the big guy for wearing a belt that says the pre-show stopper?
I am not the biggest big guy fan, but that belt was money.
You can no longer say Ryback sucks. He's awesome. What a great match he had with Kalisto. The CM Punk clobbering time call out. This man wore a belt that said the pre-showstopper.
Do you think he's in trouble for any of that?
No, not at all.
I would hope not.
I don't
What
know.
am I going to say to him? How dare you call out?
Well, first of all, it's a kickoff show. It's not pre-show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like calling it wrestling or a belt.
Yeah, I suppose, but I mean,
I don't know. I mean, to me, that seems kind of inside. I mean, that's the same, I don't know. That's a little... I mean, I don't think he's in trouble for the Punk stuff. I think Vince is probably, so happy he did that can't stand it. But, yeah, I thought that was a pretty good match.
I did too. Cool. You said the Intercontinental title stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
You think, are we just... Is Kalisto just keeping that belt warm until Cena gets back?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was just checking. Because
Yep.
boy, his run has not been that exciting.
You know, one thing I'm tired of hearing
Hmm.
is belts needing more credibility.
Mm.
Like, I get it, as a storytelling device and all that stuff. I just... this belt's not credible. Guys, it's a prop. None of them are credible. You know what belt's credible? UFC title.
Not really.
I was waiting for it.
He's the expert. He knows better than me.
I'm not the expert at all, man.
Well, compared to me, you are. But
I haven't written about MMA in like a year. I'm less of an expert than Gino at this point, who keeps writing Conor McGregor posts.
sometimes I write them too. I mean,
What?
Clickbait! What?
Calling you out, posting MMA on a wrestling site. What?
He's been tweeting, but the only time we do it, Roth, is when there's a WWE tie-in.
I know. I'm just fucking with you, man.
As soon as there's a pro wrestling tie-in, I'm like, Sean, run it. Conor McGregor followed Becky Lynch. Run it. He's been tweeting today. I'm gonna go through him and see if there's literally anything wrestling related. And if there is,
he called out Brock Lesnar. He called out Brock Lesnar.
Did he? He said something about Brock. Done. It'll be up on the site later.
Yeah, he called out Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's UFC 100 pay-per-view, and he said that I did 400,000 more buys with my last pay-per-view, and then also 100. That 400,000 is 100,000 more than the last UFC pay-per-view did in total.
Damn.
Like John Jones' return did 300,000.
I was hoping that you were going to say he was setting up a Brock Lesnar shoot fight in Russia with one of those promoters that want to give him $1 million or whatever.
Nostrovia.
That's what I would like, a card with like Conor versus Brock and Fedor versus a bear. That's the card I want.
Well, Brock is a bear.
Well, that's so two bears versus two
bears versus two
men. Mm-hmm.
No, but I'm saying, so it's funny to me, because it's, well, the belt needs credibility, and I guess I get it. Like, Cena was doing the Open Challenge. It's like it makes the belt like a thing that you can, as a narrative device, like it's the thing that everyone's going for, and so it makes it feel like a big deal if someone wins it, so on and so forth. I get that.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think it's a prop, and
yeah, it's just a prop.
Are you using the prop to tell a good story or not? Whether or not the belt is credible in and of itself is meaningless, just like the belt is.
It's not credible.
Right. If you're using it to tell a good story, then it's a good thing. If you're not, if not, what's the point in having it? Which I think that's my argument with like the Kalisto things. He fucking disappears except when they remember they have a pay-per-view and then they decide to book him against Ryback on the pre-show. I mean, he's been in a tag team more than he's been defending the U.S. title over the last 3 months. So.
Or in six-mans for some weird reason, and the League of Nations breaks up. It's very disjointed.
Pour one out for the league. We hardly knew them.
None of whom had anything to do on this show.
Nope. Not even the greatest of all time, Ruru.
Man, it's so
it's a
sad.
Crime. That's a crime.
He's just the greatest.
He's a national treasure for Russia and Bulgaria and America.
He's all right.
Russia, Bulgaria, and America.
America!
Oh,
maybe he can team up with Zeb Coulter, and that'll really get him over like it did with Del Rio.
Top 10 Bulgarian brutes in America.
You won't believe number 7!
I've went back and listened to that so many times. Ladies and gentlemen,
I tried to explain it to Julie at dinner the one time I've seen her in like the last 2 weeks. And she just stared. First of all, I didn't do a very good job of explaining it because I fucking broke out into uncontrollable giggles again. And then she just stared at me like I was a crazy person, which is about 90% of our relationship, to be
You should
fair.
have just played it for her.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
I've played it 1,000,000 times because
I'm not
it gets
that
over
smart.
every time, dude.
What was it? The
top 10 craziest
fishes attacked you.
The top 10 craziest fishes that have killed humans. You won't believe number 7. And then number 7 is fucking Nemo.
I just like fishes attacking humans.
That's what clickbait is, and we don't ever engage in that. Although someone sent me a link to, it was from The Richest, I want to say is the website. They did a, you won't believe the age of these wrestlers. Number 2 shocked me.
I feel like The Richest.
How old were they, Gino?
It had a picture of Sasha Banks, who's like 21 or whatever. I didn't click. It took everything within me not to click to see what number 2 was.
The Richest, don't they usually do like top wrestler booties or something? I feel like maybe I'm confusing them with somebody else.
But I've never heard of the website.
They do like the top 15 richest wrestlers of all time, and it's like, no, we know who like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock are. Like,
I also always see is like the paid advertisement on Yahoo Sports and shit. It's like top 10 wrestlers who've gone bust, and it's a picture of Sonny. I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't want to fucking feel like killing myself right now.
Top 10 wrestlers who've gone bust. I shit myself at number 3.
Make sure you're on the toilet when you read number 7.
Yeah. And what's fucked up is I would go to the toilet while I was trying to get to number 7. I'm ready.
Probably
you're afraid you're gonna shoot yourself.
I'm ready. Yeah.
I'm probably more likely to click on those things when I'm already on the toilet. I bet.
One thing I've learned about writing on the internet is like a shocking number of people will just believe anything you say.
Mm-hmm.
They will. I always wondered how those email schemes work. They work because people are dumb as shit. Like you just say something, and if you sound kind of credible, and we don't even sound credible, but people believe us. I don't understand it. I really don't. Thank you. I'm totally full of shit. Let's be real about it. But Sean's been full of shit his whole life.
Yeah, I don't even know how to read.
Is there anything else to talk about with this show?
You don't want to talk about the Intercontinental title picture?
Not really. It's kind of whatever.
See, that's my point about Payback. Yes, I had an entertaining 3 hours watching the show, but when it was over, I was like, nah.
You know what the thing about that is? That is that is a damning indictment of the challenger. Your boy.
Cesaro.
Mm-hmm.
The Cesaro community.
You don't care.
I would also.
Exactly what I said would happen, and now it's happened. I want some fucking.
No,
apologies.
Because here's the thing too: is that for Miz's admittedly formidable skills as a heel on the microphone, I don't think. When's the last time you were excited to see Miz lose a match? He doesn't get a whole lot of heat when he's working in the ring.
Literally always. Fuck that idiot.
No,
I like watching him.
So name his last hot feud where you were really all in on the babyface. I'll wait.
He has feuds.
See? I mean, you can't name the Miz's. He did good work with like AJ, but that was mostly around the talk show and setting up his feud with Jericho.
Look,
I'm just saying, you want to just run down Cesaro just because it's fucking your gimmick to hate Cesaro.
I don't appreciate you telling me what to do. So
I'm full of shit anyway. We've already established that. I'm like, fucking Charlie on Always Sunny. I write little notes to myself that nobody but me can read. So
is that what you do?
Yeah. They usually have like a picture of a squirrel in them and some cheese.
Someone sent us a tweet saying that we need to clean up our typos.
Yeah.
I wonder who made the typos they were reading.
I've been better lately. I don't know what you're talking about.
Someone sent a link. I think you mean bested, and it says beated. And it's one of your articles. I think it's the Raw preview.
I don't ever read the Raw preview after I write it. I fucking send that thing right out. That is a bunch of crap. So maybe he did beat him. How do you know? See?
Yeah, these fucking people. Like, you need an editor. I will excoriate you.
You know what?
Like, you're using a lot of big words right now. And because I don't know what they mean, I'm going to take
I will refund every cent that person spent on my post. Every cent. 100% full refund.
You're such an elitist. Is there anything else? What a stupid show.
Yeah, Roth is still awake. That's amazing, don't you think?
Wasn't that a great moment in Cage Side history?
That was awesome.
Matt Roth fell asleep
That
on
was
the
a
show.
good, no, but that was just because it was a great pay-per-view, and I was, I was blown up from that pay-per-view, and I just came down and I crashed really. No, I fucking fell asleep because that shit was horrible.
Educate our audience, Roth. What does blown up mean?
That's when you drank too much. Well,
That's not what it means.
When you drank too much while watching a WWE pay-per-view, and then at midnight you have to do a podcast with Sean and Gino to talk about Extreme Rules was 2014, which is horrendous.
Wasn't that the one where Wyatt had the baby or the kids?
Yeah.
The little kids singing to Cena.
Yep. And then because you drank so much and it was a horrible pay-per-view and you're sleepy anyway, you fall asleep. And that's what blown up is. So when you hear about how the Ultimate Warrior used to get blown up on his run from the entrance to the ring, that's what they mean is that
he was drinking in Gorilla while watching a replay of Extreme Rules 14 on the network
and getting ready to do a podcast with Gino and Sean.
Right. So that's the definition of getting blown up.
So please, everybody, don't misuse that term anymore. Now that we've educated you, all right? For fuck's sake.
Next show, I'll teach you what burial means, guys.
There you go. Tune in for it.
Train yards, I'm sure.